Hello, I'm Detective John Dreyer with Mesa Police Department's Media Relation Unit. This critical incident community briefing is intended to provide you with information about an officer-involved shooting that occurred in Mesa. We will share information related to this case to help you understand details based on the present facts. All suspects are presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. The images and language in this video may be disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised. On July 11, 2025, just after 5 p.m., a woman called 911 to report that a man was outside with a gun and she had heard a shot. She also reported that the man tried to open her apartment door.
911 emergency.
Hi, there's a guy with a gun outside my apartment.
What's the address?
Is that 350? 5 East Avenue.
350 East Fifth Avenue in Mesa, is that right?
Yes.
What is he doing with the gun?
I don't know. My mom just came running in my room saying that there's a guy outside shooting, and I did hear a shooting, and my dog is hungry.
So your mom saw the person?
Yeah, yeah, he's begging for it.
He's banging on your door? I'm going to stay on the phone with you, okay?
A second person called 911 and reported that the same man who was armed with a gun was screaming and yelling outside of his apartment. The caller reported that the man also tried to open his apartment door.
911 emergency.
Hey, I just want to report a guy who's yelling and screaming what his arm. He got a weapon in the waist. He's screaming and yelling and kicking stuff over here.
Okay, I'm showing you at 350 East Fifth Avenue. Is that accurate or no?
Yeah, that's 350 East Fifth Avenue. He got a white pants and black shirt.
Officers responded to the apartment complex located at 350 East Fifth Avenue, where they located 31-year-old Brian Zupata Ruiz in the walkway between apartment buildings. Officers saw that Zupata Ruiz had a holstered handgun on his right side. Here's a video obtained from a doorbell camera showing Zupata Ruiz prior to officers arriving on scene.
Figuring, yeah, so it's usually like, straight up. That might fucking, huh? What's up, buddy? Why you gotta do that, Jim? Why? God. Watch your fucking
Here's body-worn camera footage from the first officer on scene.
Hey, put your fucking hands up! Hey, put your hands up! Put your hands up! Put your hands in the air! Put your hands in the air! Yeah, he's got a gun on his hip. Hold traffic. We got him at gunpoint. He's got his gun in his waistband.
Here's body-worn camera from the second officer on scene.
Hey! Your fucking hands on your head! Stop dropping your hands!
Officers gave Zupata Ruiz directions to keep his hands on top of his head and to turn away, but Zupata Ruiz did not comply. This is when the officer-involved shooting occurs. Here's body-worn camera footage showing when the shooting took place.
Keep your hands this way for me. What's your backdrop case?
The street. 998.
As Zupata Ruiz fell, a gun fell to the ground next to him.
Hey! Hey!
Officers told Zupata Ruiz to stay away from the gun, but he did not listen and rolled toward the gun. This is when officers fired a second time, striking Zupata Ruiz.
Hey!
He's rolling on the... Get away from the gun!
Zupata Ruiz was taken into custody and transported to the hospital, where he was treated for non-life-threatening injuries resulting from the officer-involved shooting. There were no officers injured. This is a photo of the gun that Zupata Ruiz had in his possession. Additionally, a bag containing fentanyl was located in Zupata Ruiz's possession. This officer-involved shooting is being investigated by the Gilbert Police Department as part of the East Valley Critical Incident Response Team. EV CERT includes members from the Apache Junction, Chandler, Gilbert, Mesa, Paradise Valley, Queen Creek, Scottsdale, and Tempe Police Departments. EV CERT will provide greater transparency and accountability because the agencies involved in the critical force incident will not be directly involved in the criminal investigation. Thank you for taking the time to watch this critical incident community briefing.
5, 4. All right, let's jump into this. So, yeah, like, I don't know what goes through people's heads sometimes, man. Like, just complete stupidity. But this first officer arrives, and all he has is a pistol, right? Like, you know, you're going to a call involving a guy with a gun.
Hi, there's a guy with a gun at my...
Guy with a gun, right? Why are you responding to a call where a person is known to be armed? You're going to a gunfight. I mean, not every incident like this ends in a gunfight. The overwhelming majority of police in this nation get to go their entire career without having to shoot anyone. Police shootings are, I would say, kind of rare. But this high-risk call has the possibility of ending in a gunfight. So every high-risk call you need to be going to with a long gun. It is negligent to go at this with a pistol only. A pistol is just for exigent circumstances. It is for the everyday, mundane bullcrap that you're involved in. Of course, no one likes saying it, routine traffic stops is for the routine traffic stops, which are just unknown risk traffic stops. And in the event that something happens, you've got something to readily defend yourself with. That's it. It's just for exigent circumstances, things that just happen out of nowhere, so to speak. A high-risk incident that you're going to that has a high probability of ending in a gunfight, you do not want to bring just a pistol. That is negligent. That's like firefighters going to a house fire and all they bring with them is fire extinguishers. Sure, you, depending on how bad the fire is, or how not bad the fire is, how small the fire is, yeah, sure, you could go put out a house fire with a fire extinguisher. I've done it. I've put a house fire out with just a regular fire extinguisher, followed up by a garden hose. Didn't even have a fire truck there. But is that the way you should be going to every house fire? No, absolutely not, right? Like, you want to bring the fire truck with the big ass fire hose in it and lots of water. You're going to high risk calls, you want to bring a long gun. Pistols suck in comparison to rifles. The terminal ballistics, it's night and day with rifle cartridge versus pistol cartridge. There's not that many people walking around today who've been shot with rifle. There's a lot of people walking around today who've been shot with pistol, shot multiple times with pistol. A rifle or a long gun, rifle or shotgun, it's just going to knock your dick in the dirt. And it's so much better at causing physical incapacitation, stopping the threat. They're more accurate. You have a longer barrel and you have multiple points of contact on a long gun. Your dominant hand, your non-dominant hand get 2 good purchase points on that long gun. Then you get to pull it into your shoulder, get a cheek weld on there, and depending if you got a sling on there, you can even put that sling around the arm and cinch that in. When you go prone, your arms are going into the ground, and maybe depending on what you got going on there, the long gun could be supported onto something, thus grounding it even more and making it even more stable, and reducing as much movement in that thing as possible, thus making you very accurate. So yeah, night and difference today with pistols and rifles. And for high risk kind of scenarios, aside from the terminal ballistics being night and day and you being able to achieve physical incapacitation much quicker, it's also better having the long gun because you are more accurate. And that's not just for stopping the threat, but that's also for reducing your missed rounds and stray rounds going out there and hitting people who don't need to be hit. So a long gun is safer for everyone involved. It's safer for the officer because they're able to stop the threat faster, and it's safer for the community because that means less rounds fired, and of the rounds fired, they're going to be more accurate. Lots and lots of videos out there showing officers firing their pistols at people, and there being a lot of misses. It's the nature of the beast when you're dealing with a pistol. Again, pistols suck in comparison to rifles. So, first mistake for this officer, or for this incident, is this officer here responding to this high-risk call with a pistol. His partner, on the other hand, or the other officer responding, does it right. He shows up with a long gun. He said, I'm going to a gunfight, and I'm bringing a rifle. Good on him. Now, some interesting manipulations of the weapon here. Let me reduce the volume here by a little bit.
Hey!
Your fucking hands on your head! Stop on your head!
All right, so
Officers gave Zupata Ruiz directions to keep his hands on top of his head and to turn away. But
watch how he manipulates the gun here. Don't even look at the suspect. Just watch. All right, let's back that up. We'll see it one more time. Just watch the hand and the fire control group. That's what I want you to pay attention to. One more time. Too quick. One more time.
The street.
All right, that was fast. He threw that thing off safe, fired one round, and very quickly threw that thing back on safe. This, number one, he has done what he has been trained to do. Like, he's been a good student, I can tell you that. Very smooth, safety off, press trigger, safety on. Unfortunately, I don't see that as the best way of training. Majority of the police pistols out there are going to be Glocks, the Smith & Wesson MMPs, and those, for the Glocks, obviously, the Glocks don't have external safeties. The MMPs, you can get them with an external safety, but you can obviously get them without an external safety. So there's a lot of handguns out there being used by police that don't have external safeties on them. And it is perfectly fine to be holding that handgun out, moving around with the handgun in your hand, and there be no external safety on it whatsoever. However, when it comes to rifles, there seems to be this notion that you always have to have the safety on. And, you know, this goes, like, the thing that pops up in my head is the scene from Black Hawk Down, and he holds his finger up and goes, well, "This is my safety," and that is pretty darn accurate in my mind in how you should be handling your rifle. Now, with that being said, in that movie with the rifle being slung, yeah, he should have had that rifle on safety. But when you've got that rifle in your hands, it's no different, in my opinion, than holding a pistol in your hand that does not have any external safety whatsoever. Everyone's fine with someone walking around with a pistol in their hand, moving from point A, B, C, D, E, climbing, crouching, bending, stupid, whatever, and still holding that pistol in their hand and never once holstering it. But it seems to make people have a stroke when the idea of walking around with a rifle off safe and doing the same stuff as you would with a pistol. People are like, "Oh my God, you can't do that." I say you can. I think it's perfectly okay. And I think that although he has been trained, and he has obviously taken to his training well, like he has executed this very well to how he was trained, I just don't think it's the best training, because having to do follow-up shots, or even taking that first shot, you're still having to disengage that safety and then put rounds on target. It's not that much of a huge time difference, but when you're dealing with the bad guy, always, or I won't say always, when you're dealing with the bad guy, the overwhelming majority of the time, being able to make that first move, that means you're behind the curve. You're already a certain time frame behind, because you're having to react to what they're doing. And action generally beats reaction. So when the bad guy does something and he becomes a threat, you are in your OODA loop. You're observing and orienting yourself to what's going on. You're deciding, and then you're acting. And then you're sending signals from the brain down to your limbs. You're disengaging that safety, pressing trigger, and then very quickly, in this case, very quickly re-engaging that safety. And although he somewhat got the desired effect on that first shot, what if, as the guy's falling, he did not actually drop that gun, or as he was falling and he fell on to or near the gun and was able to quickly recover it, by the time this officer would observe, orient, decide, and act, it could give the bad guy that small window of time to be more advantageous for him, or even in the very beginning onset of this. So I just don't think, like I said, that always having this safety on the rifle engaged is the best thing. Now, when you go to sling that thing, absolutely you need to throw the safety on, because that is the same as putting your handgun in the holster, right? You put your handgun in the holster to keep the gun protected when you take your hands off and you need to use both hands for whatever. It keeps that trigger surrounded and prevents anything from popping it off, right? You just don't stick it in your waistband, right? Same thing for a rifle, right? Like, we don't have holsters for rifles, so our safety is the holster, so to speak. So when that rifle's being slung, it does need to go on safe, in my opinion. But when it's in your hands, when it's in a combative hold like this, a low ready, high ready, I think the safety's fine to be kept off. And when you go to sling, that's when you put the safety back on. Now, I can see the other parts of the arguments of why that's not a good idea, because people may forget. And for people who don't do a lot of intense training or a lot of good repetitive training, I could see that maybe being an issue where people have not become conditioned to throw that rifle on safe when they are going hands off. But that's a training issue, and so when you do multiple repetitions over and over and over and over, it becomes ingrained in you. And we can see obviously in this video that the repetitions he's gone through, it's become ingrained in him. Like, he has executed this this firing, safety off, fire, safety on, very well. It's just almost second nature to him. So if someone can be trained to do it like this, then they can be trained to throw that rifle on safe when they're going to sling the rifle, and then when they come up on the gun, safety off, move clear, do whatever, and then when rifle's going hands off, or you're going hands off on rifle, safety comes on. Very easy to, in my opinion, to be able to train for that. And so, is this a training scar? I would say that it is. Because as I talked about earlier, I just don't like a rifle being on safe when covering a threat and continuously covering a threat.
He's rolling on. Get away from the gun!
Zupata Ruiz was taken into custody.
Get away from the gun! He's rolling on. Get away from the gun! He's rolling on. He's rolling on. He's rolling on. Get away! He's rolling on. Get! He's rolling on.
Like I said, really good at what he was trained to do. But as you noticed, he also is keeping that finger up outside of the trigger guard itself as well. So in this kind of instance right here, where there's a deadly threat, he's already had to fire one round, he is not keeping that finger inside the trigger guard. A lot of people I've seen in videos, they will rest their fingers inside this trigger guard even before they've ever decided to shoot. But then after they've shot, they continue to keep that finger lingering inside that trigger guard. But he has very either consciously or unconsciously made that decision to not do that. He is keeping his finger outside the trigger guard, probably most likely up and high on the receiver itself, the way he has been taught to do. So I would say this officer is a good student. He has done exactly what has been taught to him and has been able to recall under stress those things that were taught to him. So good handling of the rifle, good safe handling of it with keeping the finger off that trigger. Like I said, it's more of an opinion on keeping the safety off on the rifle when covering threats, and that's something that I can see obviously people arguing about, and it being a like a Ford versus Chevy kind of thing. But really good handling of this, and like I said, I can tell he's a pretty good student. So really not much else to say about this video. Where's the? I forgot where they showed the gun at. I was gonna take another look at the pistola. Well, I thought I showed a picture of it. Let's go down here. Maybe there it is.
Addition. This is a photo.
Look at this damn thing, man. This freaking. I can't even see what the brand is on this. Is it the Tagua? Is that what that's? Yeah, I think it's the Tagua. Man, these are such crap holsters. I cannot stand these things. So this is a inside the waistband holster. Inside the waistband holsters are great. I like them, but when they're made out of nylon, as soon as you take that gun out and there's nothing in there keeping this expanded out, it's going to collapse in on itself, and then you have to use both hands to reholster the gun, and you may not have that ability to do that. So this is obviously a person who is untrained and does a typical gun store purchase or typical cheap gun purchase, because you don't always have to buy these things from a gun store. But they go buy a gun, they get a cheap gun, and then they get the cheapest holster they can get because they think it's just as good, and it's not just as good. And gun stores are notoriously horrible at supplying these damn things because they can make a better profit off this versus an actual good legit Kydex holster. It's a whole lot easier to manufacture these things. I mean, I would not be surprised if this whole contraption thing comes from China, costs cents. And the gun store's turning around and being able to mark it up to a certain price, and they make a pretty good profit off of it. Whereas if they were buying Kydex holsters, made by a vendor here in the States, they're going to have their base cost for that. And if the gun store person marks it up a little bit more to try to make a good profit off of it, it's going to be at a price point where it can be difficult to convince a person to spend the money to buy said holster, unless you're getting a very common cookie cutter mold, so to speak, which are technically they're kind of all cookie cutter molds anyway, but something like Glock 17, Glock 19, like those things are just made left and right all day, every day. When you go to Kydex holsters websites, those are usually like the quick ship items because those are the most common, most popular guns out there and have the most common accessories for them. When it comes to a pistol like this, I think this is a 22 caliber, P22. I'm just assuming that's what it is. Is there a Kydex holster out there for this? Yeah, sure, there probably is, but they're not made in the numbers that like a Glock 19 Kydex holster is made. Like a company makes, probably 500 holsters within a certain time frame, and holsters for this gun they probably only make like 2 or 3 in that same time frame because there's just not that many people wanting a Kydex holster for a gun like this. Now, even with that being said, people who do get like a Glock 19 or Glock 17, there's still some dummies out there who will get a crap holster like this because it's cheaper and they have the mindset of it's just as good, but it's not just as good. I wish that I honestly wish that there would be some type of like legislation out there that would bar these kind of things, because these are just extremely unsafe holsters to be using. But unfortunately, common sense doesn't always prevail when it comes to laws and stuff. Henceforth, while we have the NFA and a bunch of other stuff, but if you have a nylon holster like this, get rid of it. Spend the money. Get a Kydex holster that is not going to cave in on itself as soon as you pull the gun out, and will actually hold the gun. And actually, you know what? That's funny. I say that, actually hold the gun. So he gets hit, and then the gun and holster, it looks like, goes flying.
Hey!
998.
As Zupata Ruiz fell, a gun fell to the ground next to him.
Hey!
And it looks like it's the whole thing together, right? Like, see if I can actually.
Officers told Zupata Ruiz to.
You see how, I don't know, to me, that looks like it is the whole gun and holster together. I'd say his quick moving around, just didn't stay in there very well and became dislodged and went flying. So actually, let's go back and even look at him walking around wearing the damn thing. So okay, so that's even, you know what? I didn't even realize that. But it looks like he's wearing an inside the waistband holster. Not even inside the waistband. He's wearing it outside the waistband. What a goober. But yeah, so I would say that when he got popped, just the jerking motion of his body and everything caused probably the gun and holster to go flying, because in that one image it did look like it was a gun surrounded by a holster. And he has what looks like sweatpants on, and so no good belt, nothing rigid in there for that clip to lock in on. You even see where it's sagging in right there. So I would say with a lot of certainty that when that gun fell, it was surrounded in the holster itself, which it looks pretty solid right there. So again, like I said, crap holster, doesn't stay on you very well. No need to have a piece of crap like this. It's just accident waiting to happen, and you're going to quickly lose your gun, as this guy did. So anyway, not much else to say about this video. If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you have not already, hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching.